All right, after day one of working on the CB400T Hawk, I discovered that I needed quite a few parts, and so I have ordered a bunch of parts. They are all in now, and the parts include a high-flow air filter. I did get a set of the new EBC front brake pads for the bike. The ones that were on it were contaminated by leaking brake fluid. I also got the seal to rebuild the front caliper on the bike and stop the front caliper from leaking. I also purchased a high-flow oil filter for the bike, and I purchased an oil filter washer. This is a Honda part, and that was missing when I pulled the original oil filter off of the bike. I also purchased a sealed battery for the bike, and those are nice. That way they don't get acid on the chrome. Those are nicer than the original units. And finally, I did pick up a set of hand grips for the bike, and those will go on and replace the foam units that were on there. All right, I'm excited to install all of these parts on the bike and to get the bike out on the road. The next thing I have to do once these parts are installed is pull the carburetors the rest of the way off and clean those, make sure everything looks good inside those. I'll also check the tank and make sure that that is clean. I'm going to go down to the garage and get started on that process now. So hopefully we'll have this thing fired up and able to get out on the road pretty soon. Let's get to work. I have cleaned and reassembled the front brake caliper. I replaced the piston seal in that with a new piston seal. I've also lubricated the brake piston caliper pins that allow the brake caliper to slide from side to side as the brake is applied. So the braking performance should be vastly improved. While the front brake caliper was apart, I drained the master cylinder and the brake lines completely of any fluid, and then I replaced the DoT3 fluid with some DoT5 brake fluid. I like to do that on the classic bikes. It is a performance upgrade, and if any of the DoT5 fluid leaks anywhere, it won't eat the paint on your classic bike. I still need to go in and touch up the paint on the master cylinder. You can see where the old DoT3 fluid leaked a little bit and ate the paint around the base of the master cylinder. Another thing I did while I was at the front brake master cylinder was to pull the pivot pin and to re-lubricate that. I made sure that the brake lever functions as it should very smoothly. I just finished oiling and installing the air filter in the bike. It is an oiled foam unit. I replaced that with the high flow air filter. I also replaced the battery, and that is a sealed battery. That's a nice unit. I've also completed the oil and filter change on the motorcycle, so that is ready to go. The next item to be addressed was to remove the carburetors and to clean them. To do this, I used a hair dryer to heat up the boots from the engine to the carburetor and from the carburetor to the air box. Once these boots are heated up, they become much more flexible, and it allows me to easily pull the carburetors out of the engine and to remove them from the bike. One thing you want to do as soon as you remove the carbs is to put some clean rags in the carburetor boots. That keeps foreign debris from getting into your engine, and you certainly wouldn't want to have something fall down into the engine while you're doing a job. While the carbs were off, I inspected the boots on either side of the carburetors to make sure that they were free of cracks and still pliable. Fortunately, everything looked good here. Once I got the carbs off, I could see that they definitely needed to be cleaned. They weren't terribly dirty inside, but they did have varnish on the jets, both the main jets and the mid-range jets. You can see in this picture that I'm reassembling the carburetors after cleaning the bodies and all of the jets. I've also replaced the fuel hose, as you can see here. After reassembling the carburetors, I went through and cleaned the outside of the carburetors and polished up the bowls and the top of the carburetors a little bit, just to make them look really nice. I had sprayed some WD-40 down in the spark plug holes. Another thing I did prior to trying to start the bike was to make sure that the engine turned over freely. I wanted to make sure not to put extra stress on the starter or any of the electrical system here. Fortunately, the bike turned over very, very easily by hand, and I was able to check that and then put that cover back on the bike. So there you have it, another day of work completed on the Hawk project. We're really progressing along here nicely, and in the next video, I think you're going to get to hear this thing start up for the first time. So I'm really excited about that. As I fire up the bike and get it out on the road, I'm sure there will be things that need to be addressed that I'm not aware of yet, but we will face those challenges as they come. Right now, this bike is coming along very, very quickly, and I'm surprised at how easily and quickly everything is going. And I'm excited to get it out on the road and do some review videos of it. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, enjoy the ride.